Hi, my name is Natasha Barbosa, and I am in North Carolina. I am coming to you regarding a group lead that I held on October 27th, 2019, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. The group that I led was called Single and Parenting, and it was located, the meeting was located at a home of one of the participants in the group. There was approximately five single moms, and their children were there, but we had childcare available, so the children were able to go to a different part of the home in our playroom and spend some time with a child care provider, someone who assists us in attempting to care for the children while the parents, the moms, were able to be able to talk and discuss the process or the course that day. We started at 4 o'clock. From about 4 to 4:30, we begin with kind of just setting the tone and everybody greeting each other, getting the kids settled in, and we do a small like refreshment or snacks so that the kids are able to kind of get into a comfort level of being in the new place or the place where they're at. And then we transition the children to go to the room, the playroom area where the child care provider was. My relationship to the participants is we are all attend the same church, and our church is Factory Church in Concord, North Carolina. There is a co-leader, and she was present that day as well. Her name is Katie, and she assists in being able to follow through with some of the things when I present them, possibly give an example or to help engage the other women that are there. The nature or the purpose of our group is to be able to support one another when we meet, possibly discuss things that went on during the week, or we meet every 2 weeks, and so to discuss the things that went on possibly in the past 2 weeks. Additionally, the women are able to pick names of another woman and be accountable to them during the 2 week period so that we are not missing time in between where we can be able to talk with someone and engage. The purpose of this group being started was there were a lot of single moms, specifically myself and the co-leader. We felt that when we came to North Carolina, we did not have a lot of resources, or for the co-leader, she had, I didn't have a lot of friends, but she didn't have resources to go to when she experienced domestic violence within her relationship, or even through her divorce process and custody and visitation, those different things. And so she and I had spoke about trying to possibly bring up a support system for the group, or for a group of women, and then subsequently men as well. But we started with the women in order to support each other, to just kind of like have a place to vent without other people judging us, being able to host the meeting and make sure that every point or partially of our goal and purpose is met. This is also the very first semester that we have engaged this, so we've had a total of 3 other meetings as well. So from the beginning to the end, with a small exercise to get everyone to kind of just relax and start to think about the purpose, why we were there. Icebreaker, I want to say, that we used was kind of like to relieve the stress. Every woman took a chance at sitting in front of the other 4 women. There was a total of 5. And they started off by putting their hands in the air and then kind of relaxing their fingers, letting them curl, and then slowly relaxing their body and allowing their body to obtain a certain position. That position was then, the rest of the participants attempted to describe what their mood was according to that position. Everyone to relax. 3 of the participants did an excellent job at describing themselves as being just tired or heavy burden, like having a lot on top of them. And we discussed what that meant for them or why that they felt that in the past 2 weeks. And they were able to kind of like vent in a safe place. We then, after that exercise, moved on to talk about what it means to be a single parent. We did a round and said if the question was if we desire to be married, and they would either say yes, no, unsure. And most of the women said yes. 2 of the women mentioned that although they said yes, they were not foreseeing that in the near future. And the other 3, we were expecting it to happen possibly in the next year, or desiring it to happen in the next year. We then did a Bible verse, and we talked about Hagar, the concubine of Sarah, and the position that she was put in to have a child for Abraham on behalf of Sarah, and how that subsequently led to her being a single parent and leaving the tribe that she knew, and being alone, and what that meant for her. And we talked about what we kind of assumed, we went around, she may have went through. Specifically I gave an example of doing exactly what she did, being a single parent, coming to a new state by myself with no family. And I then allowed each of the participants to explain their situation, how they felt, and if they felt that they were being supported or heard, or whether it was emotionally, spiritually, physically, by those around them, and how the group can come together and begin to assist what they would need. So we took notes on that as well. Most of the women that were there, because it's such a small group, they were able to engage. And I made sure that when one wasn't saying something, to ask them, how about you? Or if someone said something funny and they laughed, I would attempt to engage them by saying, oh, I see that you really enjoyed the comment that she made. How do you feel about what she is saying? And can you provide any input maybe on your situation? And they were all able to engage. This was actually the first out of the past other 3 sessions, a total of 4, that everyone really engaged. And I believe because now we were in the working stage versus the beginning 3 stages, because children were involved, and because one of those sessions was really like a fun movie day type of thing, we're still in the beginning stage and getting to know each other and trust each other. There is still a little bit of trust issues going on, and particularly, everyone, although we see each other at church, the church is kind of big and everyone sits in different places. Some people leave right away to go home, and some people stay around. So it's not always, and because we have kids, we're running around, so we're not always able to engage in church. So I think that has limited the amount of trust that has been built, but slowly but surely it's coming along. When I reflect on for me being able to facilitate the group, I noticed that I sometimes feel like I have to say something after every person instead of allowing the rest of the group to kind of engage and work together and talk through those things. I also realized some of my challenges was that I wanted to give advice, and I wanted to give a solution to the problem. I didn't want the women to feel like they left out of there with nothing. But afterwards, when I thought about it, in reality, they were all leaving there with something. Even if I said, or someone else said, we don't know how to fix this, but we can continue to talk about it. And someone brought up the idea of maybe we'll look up stuff individually, and we could post it on a group chat that we have. So I feel like I did pretty well, especially because this was the third time that I've attempted to, well, the first time I led, this is really the second time that I led, because during the first 3 sessions, one of them was a fun event. A second one was led by the co-leader, and the very first one we co-led together. So this was really like the second time that I was able to do it, and I led fully by myself this time. So I think that moving forward, I will continue as I grow and learn to practice, probably jotting down some notes, and instead of feeling like I need to respond to everything, just allow the group at least 7 to 10 seconds to see if someone else can provide a suggestion, or if even being in the silence, it would allow for that person to process what they were talking about. We also, we talked about feeling alone, feeling single, and then we began to talk, but we didn't completely finish the discussion of what it would mean for us to find a significant other, and how we would introduce them to our child. So that is going to be in the part 2 series of it, because the initial discussion, which I did not think was going to be so long, actually was, because they engaged a lot in talking about how it was to be single, and how they felt about moving away from family or being close to family, how that impacted it, how it did it, and also how their family viewed them in regards to remarrying. So that kind of came in as a twist. But I think that we handled it very well. So in my experience, it was very good. I gained a lot of knowledge from the women, and I was able to produce additional questions to ask them after the part 2 session of our meeting, in regards to how do we introduce. First, how do we work through allowing God to bring someone to our lives and working through the trust, and how do we begin to introduce that person and engage them with our children. I will continue to apply what I've learned. The most important thing was I took notes of myself right after. And as I said, I was able to develop questions to ask the women the next time that we meet. So just made like a list of things and how to probably move forward with a different round, or even dyads. For the next one, we were going to bring a guest speaker who will talk about what it was like for her to be able to be a single mom for almost 6 years, for about 6 years, and then how God allowed someone to come into her life, and that person actually adopted her child, and how that's been since. So that will come in the second part of it. And again, in enhancing my group skills and ability, I really want to be able to not focus on trying to give an answer or solution to problems, but just trying to work through allowing the individual to process it, and for others to begin to feel more empowered in helping that individual go through, not just me as the leader. So thank you for listening.